We didn't know at the time what was causing me to feel as though out of nowhere my hands or feet or arms and legs would feel like someone had just crushed them or set them on fire. If we had met before, I couldn't tell you if it was a month ago, a year ago, when we were in high school. I didn't remember. Most afternoons, my hands would start to shake.
Joining us now from New York is Joe Concha, a columnist for Mediaite. I found this very moving, but what do you make of Beck going public in this dramatic fashion?
I think it's a pattern that we see here with talk radio now these days, Howie, where it's not just about making an argument, but guys like Levin and Limbaugh and Glenn Beck, they're humanizing this whole process as well. Think about what Glenn said when he first made that statement. He said, you know what, this isn't meant for the press. This is between you and me. And what we see more in talk radio, particularly the right wing, is an us versus them undercurrent where guys like Beck are speaking directly, it seems privately, to each audience member. It's the humanization of opinion journalism, and Glenn Beck is certainly a good performer. I'm not saying he's performing here in any capacity, but he humanized this and certainly was speaking directly to his most loyal audience members in this case, Howie.
Beck now says he has a clean bill of health, recovering from adrenal fatigue and autoimmune syndrome, but there have been some skeptical voices wondering whether he's kind of over-dramatizing this at all.
Yes, and this mainly came from liberal media. Most times when a public figure or media figure comes forth with a revelation like this, it's usually universal applause saying, oh, good, I'm glad you're feeling better. But in some cases, particularly with one former MSNBC host, somebody screaming for to be relevant again, he said that Glenn Beck is making this whole thing up because he's going bankrupt. Now, let me break down for you how Glenn Beck makes his money and where he ranks in terms of the media. Glenn Beck last year, or 2 years ago, signed a $100 million contract for his syndicated radio show with Premier Networks. He also generates $45 million, according to Forbes, each year from The Blaze. That's his media network. He also has 4 New York Times bestsellers to his credit. Overall, Glenn Beck earned $90 million last year, Howie. That's more than Oprah. That's more than Ellen. That's $25 million more than Rush Limbaugh. Anybody who says that he's going bankrupt and he made up this whole thing because he doesn't have a couple of dollars in his pocket doesn't live in a reality that has Google, a calculator, and basic logic.
All right, I think you've settled that question. Now, you know, Beck is a guy who in his career has said some incendiary things, and in recent months, he's been more conciliatory. He's regretted some of his statements, like calling President Obama racist. And I wonder, looking at this, what he's been going through privately, whether it's connected, whether maybe this has changed his political outlook at all.
I think anytime, Howie, you go through a health issue like this, you have a different perspective on life. Certainly, he was one of the most polarizing figures out there, continues to say some things that obviously creates a reaction. But now he's 50 years old. He went through this ordeal over the last couple of years with neuropathy and all the pain that goes along with it. And maybe says, you know what, maybe I have a different perspective now. Maybe I got to cool my jets a little bit and try some different things like he's doing now, which is creating a full-length feature film. Wants to be the next Walt Disney. So Glenn Beck certainly has the talent. And again, we wish him well and glad he's doing okay again.
I will second that. You know, the fact that he's improving and that he credited in this video his faith in God, I think is going to make his fans love him even more. And his detractors, well, they can say what they want to say. Joe Concha, thanks very much for joining us from New York.
Thank you.
Coming up